Hello. So, as you may have saw in the news today, Gamespot, and by extension Gamefaqs, and a few other companies, but we don't care about those, are getting purchased by Fandom, the company that owns all of those wikis, and it's pretty much impossible to browse any of their sites on your phone because they're not formatted correctly. And I haven't really been a member of GameSpot or Gamefaqs in a long time, but I thought this news was worth mentioning because I used to be a pretty big part of those communities. I was active on GameSpot and Gamefaqs from about 2006 to 2012. That was really my first introduction to board culture, and people used to talk to each other a bit differently back then, and all those forum posts that I read over the years as a tween really had an influence on my personality, so to speak. It's a very influential moment for a young man experiencing the internet in the early days before things got all corporate. Anyway, I got into it around November of 2006, so it would have been right around the time that the PS3, Xbox 360, and Nintendo Wii generation was getting started. So I was on the front lines of all the conversations that happened during that era, whenever a new game came out, and whether it would flop or whether it would, be amazing. I would always get to see it firsthand. The internet was still relatively new back then, and no more waiting for magazines. You could see it the day of. In fact, when I first got to GameSpot, it was right on the heels of a fairly big event. I think maybe 2 weeks prior, they had a very eventful week where a Twilight Princess came out and it flopped, and Gears of War 1 came out that same week, and it did really well. So it was something of a 1-2 punch for Nintendo fans, where their big thing flopped, and then the Xbox fanboys, their thing was a huge success. And I'd say the peak of my involvement with GameSpot and Gamefaqs was around 2007 to 2008. In the lead up to Super Smash Bros. Brawl, I was pretty active on those forums for a while, and that was really a fun place to be. It was a very active board with thousands of people on there, and everyone really shared in their excitement for the game, and there was fan art and fan fiction and character speculation, and everyone was really just excited as I was. About a decade later, when Smash Ultimate came out, I went to the Smash Bros. Subreddit expecting to see the same energy as the GameFAQs Smash Bros. Board from 2008, but unfortunately it wasn't the same energy. I was quite disappointed. I guess somewhere between 2008 and 2018, everybody just got too far up their own ass and forgot how to have fun on the internet. But nonetheless, getting back to the topic of GameSpot, so I left GameSpot in 2012. There really wasn't a big reason for it per se. It's just the site had just been declining in terms of overall popularity and how many people were on there. And past a certain point, there really wasn't a reason to go on there anymore. There wasn't much else to see. But with this new buyout of Gamefaqs and GameSpot, what my concern here is the guides, those text-based walkthroughs you'd always see on Gamefaqs. Because obviously, since these are corporate websites, they take money to run and uphold, and, somebody somewhere has to pay money to keep all of those text-based guides hosted on the site. And with this new ownership coming, you can't help but wonder if they're just going to throw all that stuff off of there to save money, or what they're going to do. Because in a lot of ways, those guides have some valuable information in them that you really can't get anywhere else. Like, for example, the Yu-Gi-Oh! PS1 game. I was playing that recently, and they made some changes to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Rule set. It didn't quite follow the traditional formula. They had this whole fusion system where they wanted to imitate Pokemon, so to speak, where each card had a type, and certain types needed to be a match in order to fuse them. And then on top of that, there was a secondary typing system where you can't even see the secondary type on the card anywhere. That just this huge elaborate system, and of course they don't tell you any of this, they just expect you to figure it out yourself. And in situations like that, it's useful to have a guide because luckily somebody back in 2002 took the time to figure out all of this and to write it down, and now it's available for people like me 20 years later, where when you're playing the game you need to constantly consult the list to see if you have any valid fusions, because it's just, the list is far too long and unwieldy to memorize because the developers put together such an elaborate system for fusions. And if the guides go away, where are we going to get information like that? I mean, I guess the next closest thing would be a video walkthrough, but the type of information I'm describing wouldn't really work in video form. You'd have like a 2-hour-long video of somebody listing out, okay, beast type goes with grass type, but not with fiend type, and on and on and on. And to list every possible combination, it just wouldn't work. And especially if you just need the whole set of information quickly, you just want a list that you can look at, rather than having to wait for somebody to manually list out every single one of them. So I don't know what the future of these sites are going to look like. I mean, once again, I haven't been involved in these sites in a long time, but it's just kind of sad, It's sort of the end of an era. Maybe not even that. I guess in a sense the era of Gamespot ended a long time ago, and this is just sort of the universe catching up with something that already should have ended in maybe like 2015.